Hello, Brother Arthur. I'm going to be interviewing you today. So what country did you originate from?
Originally I came from Kenya.
Kenya?
Yeah,
Kenya? Okay. Is
yeah.
that in Africa?
Kenya is in East Africa.
East Africa?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, Kenya in East Africa.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do you have? So what is it like in Kenya?
What is it like in Kenya? Like temperature-wise,
Mhm.
Kenya, the equator cuts right across Kenya.
Mhm.
So temperature-wise, Kenya, it's tropical. It doesn't get too hot or it doesn't get too cold.
Okay, cool.
And
Just right.
the weather is just right as compared to California. I think San Diego weather will be equivalent to Kenyan weather.
Cool.
Yes.
In Kenya, is there like a special language or special language that you guys have there?
Yeah. In Kenya, when it comes to languages, we have 42 different languages.
That's a lot of language.
And we call them tribes. In that all these tribes, they speak different language and they do things differently.
Okay. Well,
And so when it comes to languages, we'll say that we have a national language, which is Swahili.
Swahili,
Yeah. And then we have official language, which is English.
English.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on top of this, we have indigenous languages. So, like for example, my mother tongue, it's neither English nor Swahili. And so you find in Kenya people speak more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 languages.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what language did you guys use?
It's called Luo,
Lu?
Luo.
U-O.
Yeah.
How's your name said in that?
So my name in that is called Ochieng.
Ochieng?
Yeah, which the meaning of Ochieng you find when you come from Africa,
Mm-hmm.
your middle name is your surname, and that it has a meaning. So, like for example, my name Ochieng, which means the sun. I was born in summer.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah.
So what is like the customs that you guys have in Kiwa?
In Kenya,
Kenya.
yeah, in Kenya, we have a whole lot of customs, and you find because of the tribes, every tribe they pride in their tribe in that your customs are what sets you apart from another tribe. Like for example, you find like we have the Luo tribe.
Lua tribe?
You know, the custom is when a male is born,
Mm-hmm.
the middle name starts with O.
Oh, like Ochala and
Yeah.
Black Panther?
Or like, that was T'Challa. T'Challa, that it originated from South Africa, which they start with T, T-C-H-A-L.
Oh.
But you find in Kenya they start with a man is named O, the middle name starts with O, while a lady or a girl the name starts with A. So for example, if I were a girl, my name would be Achieng.
Achi?
Achieng.
Achieng.
And if you're a man, it's Ochieng. Like for
Ochieng.
example, you find the former president, the dad was coming from Kenya.
Yeah.
So because he was a male, the name was Obama.
Oh.
Yeah, so
that's cool. I didn't
so
know that.
that's how naming. So that's one of the customs you find in Kenya, and then most of the customs that are more noticeable are when during the birth
Hmm?
and during weddings and during funerals. So that's the time that you really see people taking pride in
Cool.
their culture.
What kind of jobs that your parents do in the place?
Right now, both my parents are retired.
Oh,
My dad was a company foreman, but he retired in 1992.
okay.
And while he was working, he was a pastor at the same time. So right now, my dad is a pastor,
Oh,
full-time
okay,
pastor,
cool.
and my mom retired in 2000, and 9.
9?
Yeah, almost close to 10 years now.
Cool.
Yeah.
What were their job?
So my mom was a teacher.
Teacher?
Yeah, she was a primary school teacher, which, yeah, it's elementary school teacher.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. So are there any like special grains or food that's there in?
I'd say most of the food are the same as the one we have here. Uh, However, we have some grains that we don't find them here. Maybe I think because of the uniqueness in their taste. It will take people a while to acquire the taste. But we have sorghum, which I think I've seen them in the stores here, but people don't like them. You find most people from Africa are the ones who use them. If you go, Indians use them a lot. We have millet.
What's millet?
Millet is just it's one of the superfoods. Have you heard of quinoa?
Kiwa?
Quinoa.
Kino? No.
Oh, quinoa is it's a grain. It's a tiny grain.
Oh.
It's being I think it's called superfood. So they're in the same family. Quinoa, millet, sorghum. The grains that we find them. We have corn, of which in Africa we call them maize. Yeah. And we have some fruits that are, since being it's in tropical, we can't find them here.
Oh.
Yeah. But
Okay.
we have most of the fruits that you find in the store here, they found in Africa.
Okay. So what is the reason why you and your family left Africa?
Actually, it's only me who left
Oh.
Kenya.
Oh, okay.
I have 4 brothers
Yeah.
and five sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only me who is in the US.
Oh, okay.
And my parents came to visit me 3 years ago. You saw them. You saw them when they came. And the reason why I left Africa is that I had a job, and my job would let me travel the world, and I would be coming to the US like 3 times a month for about in a span of 8 years. So I would be coming to US back and forth, back and forth. And so when I learned that I lost my job when I was in the US, and so that's when I decided, I might as well just
Stay here.
stay here, and being that it's easier to find a job in the US than anywhere else I know. And that's how I stayed.
So what kind of jobs were you like looking at or something?
What kind of job that I was looking at? You know, when I lost the job, I was not choosing any job. I just wanted something to sustain me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What challenges have you faced coming here?
I have faced a lot of challenges. Starting from from communication,
Mm-hmm.
you find most of the time people say that you have an accent,
Mm-hmm.
and people are not used to my accent,
Oh yeah.
and so that was a challenge in that I could understand everybody, but it takes them a while to get used to how I'm talking. That was a challenge. Secondly, the food was a big challenge in that I wasn't used to
Cooking.
the food in the US, in that the food in the US, the main challenge I was having was the food was too salty, too oily, and too sweet. Yeah, so it was quite a challenge. And then a lot of cheese. So, it took me a while to get accustomed to the way food is made. So that was a challenge. I was used to eating a lot of grains and a lot of vegetables, in that 75% of Kenyan food is grains and vegetables. And you find that when I came to the US, that was not easy, in that in 5 years, I ate a lot of meat in 5 years than all the other years combined. So that can tell you how much it was really hard to transition to the diet. So that was a challenge.
Are there any like values or characteristics that you mostly like in America?
Yes.
Can you name some of them?
I would say when it comes to work,
Mhm.
people really work hard in America, and people take pride in the kind of work they do. In that, you can be a janitor
Mhm.
and you take pride in your work because there's the way states and federal have put mechanism. I would say not state. I'd say the Department of, is it Labor Department? Um, I might be confusing this. The There's a standard wage that people are paid,
Yeah.
and so whether you are a janitor, you are a cook, whether you are skilled or non-skilled, you are paid a fair wage per hour, as opposed to when I was in Kenya, people were aspiring to do blue collar jobs. Everybody just went to work in the office. That's where they pay the highest. But in the US, it doesn't matter. You could be a construction worker,
Mhm.
and to just get a fair
Fair.
pay. You can be picking fruits in the farm, and at the end of the day, you get paid fairly. And so that, I think most people fail to understand that that's a blessing.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I came to the US, it was hard to get, the first few months was hard, being that I did not have the visa that I had. I came on a visa. I was not, it did not allow me to work. And so it was, during that time it was hard. But once
You got used
I
to it?
got my work permit, that allowed me to work and be able to pay my taxes and just work as everybody else. And so once that happened, I did every kind of job, from lawn mowing, cleaning houses, painting, cooking.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Did you have like a hard time like knowing anybody or some and stuff?
I would say yes or no, yes and no, in that when I came to Sacramento, I had only one friend.
Mhm.
And when I came with my friend, it only took me 3 days.
Mhm.
And then while we were driving around, I noticed there was an African restaurant. So we
Mhm.
just walked in there, and when we walked there, I found a lady that was working there was from Kenya, and that was on the third day that I was in the US. So immediately I just saw, oh, this is a good sign. So I became friends with her, and she introduced me to other Kenyans. And so I would say that from the first, on the first week, I already had 3 friends. And then when on the first weekend, we went to church.
Mhm.
And it's so funny that when I came to church, the first person to greet me was your dad.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And so it was so good to me. And so being that he's the first person I met, I just knew that, oh, this is how friendly everybody in this church is, because your dad was so excited. Oh, welcome to a church. Do you play basketball? What do you do? So he just wanted me to be. It's like I had a family that I never knew. I never knew of, and so from there I started getting friends. And by the end of the in by the end of the month, I was not homesick because I had so many people coming to check on me
And helping you out.
and helping me out, showing me places. So I did not have that challenge.
Um, what are some similar things and different things in your native country that? Yeah.
Similarities, similar things. The food that are, we have a lot of foods that are similar. We have burgers, we have pizzas, we have chicken. I think chicken is universal. Yeah, and most food are the same. It's on that there's a. I find every community they try to make the food just a little bit different, the way they spice the food, That's the difference.
Okay.
I would say language is the same, or I would say like in Kenya we speak English. It's only that it's a different shade of English in that Kenya speak more or less like the British or Australians or the New Zealanders, while in the US it's a little bit different. Use the same words but use them differently. So that's a difference. The difference in the road system, the US have got wider roads, and so it makes it easier. You take less time traveling from one point to the other, and then the US, there's a lot of street lights, whereby in Kenya there's so many roundabouts. Yeah, so that's a little bit different. And then in Kenya, we keep right. No, we keep left, while in the US you keep right.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's a difference.
An adjustment for you.
Yeah, and then I would say that the roads are efficient in the US, in that when somebody tells you you'll be going downtown, it will take you approximately 5 minutes. So you can be sure it will be 5 minutes, or maybe 2 minutes. 2 minutes more or 2 minutes less, so you can always bank out. While in Kenya, being that the roads are not that good, and then the roads are narrow and there's congestion, it takes a little bit longer. Yeah.
Cool. I don't get what this question means.